remember that they are changing my voice. Now it should be made crystal clear why I'm right about romantic justice and how the Bible is about romantic justice, right? Christ is called the bridegroom. In Proverbs 8, it says wisdom calls out and she raises her voice, right? She, it's referred to as a woman, right? The wise woman. And he says, wisdom is proven right by her deeds in the New Testament, right? Referring to wisdom as a woman. The prostitute in Revelation is a great city that sits by many waters, right? That are polluted waters because they gave way to the wicked. They're polluted by the prostitute's ways and spirits and presence and so on and so forth. Okay? So the bridegroom is supposed to marry the wise bride, Jerusalem in the sky, and the woman who's coming into her spirit, right? So if I was to get married, it's supposed to be the woman who submits to me as I'm the King of Kings, and she's supposed to be that supporting city that helps me build the good works of God, the suitable helper. That's why the churches and the mosques, the synagogues, everyone's way off on this issue. In fact, they're way off in general because this is the core issue, right? The bridegroom, the wedding banquet, the parable of the wedding banquet, the parable of the wicked husbandman, aka the tenants, the most important parable in the Bible. And it says the kingdom of heaven is taken away from the Jews and given to a people that's more spiritual than them, that's actually doing the work of God, that will produce its works, its fruits, its deeds, what have you. The kingdom of heaven, God's works, the kingdom's works. Okay. King and kingdom. So in verse 19, pay very close attention. The next 4 or 5 verses here are crystal clear and key. It says, the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a young man with a young woman. These are things that he says are too amazing for him and things he doesn't understand. Okay, the eagle can also be, it could either be two things, right? It's a symbol of Zeus playing God, right? The eagle of Babylon, the eagle of Zeus, the eagle of Rome, or it could be the eagle of God. And they do things like that with the fig tree, right? Everyone sits under their own fig tree, right? Polluted water versus pure water, right? Good army versus bad army, right? It can symbolize more than one thing, right? But you have to have the morally precise, don't accept evil, morally precise interpretation. Okay? So in verse 19, it makes it clear that the way of a young man and a young woman is connected to the idea of God versus the devil trying to snake him. The snake is a phallic symbol, the tree of knowledge versus the tree of life, right? The Garden of Eden, where, before that occurred, God said, let man have a suitable helper. Let me create a suitable helper, and made Eve from his rib, and said that the woman, after the snake betrays him, and she betrays God, and they betray God, he says that the woman is supposed to be submissive to the man who's in the divine order, not the snake or the man who's in the snake order, okay, which is in the spirit of the snake, which the snake symbolizes the core of the spirit, and the people in the spirit. So everyone outside the divine order is trying to snake. To snake means to cheat, right? Trying to snake me. And the snake is a phallic symbol, right? Mr. Snaky for those who are immature, right? And that makes it clear that romantic injustice is key here. Okay? Then we go to the next verse. Under 3 things the earth trembles. Under 4, it cannot bear up. Is this consistent with Isaiah 34 and Isaiah 24? It says the earth will be completely destroyed? Yes. That it sinks never to rise again? Yes. So why does it sink? Well, Proverbs 1 tells us that Proverbs is to understand the other books in the Bible, the parables, the riddles, and sayings of the wise. So we cannot ignore the second to last chapter that talks about romantic justice, that leads to the last chapter that talks about romantic justice, that has countless connections that directly connect to Revelation, right? The scarlet, okay? Wife of noble character versus the wicked wife, the merchant ships, and on and on and on and on. So verse 21, it says, under 3 things the earth trembles, under 4 it cannot bear up. After it brought up that he doesn't understand the way of a man with a young woman. I can't stress that enough. He doesn't understand it. He's just a scribe, okay? I understand it because I'm God's son. So again, under 3 things the earth trembles, under 4 it cannot bear up. A servant who becomes king, right? So if whatever the order was gets replaced by the kingdom of heaven being given to another people, then that planet is done, because that planet is supposed to be for that people. So that planet, that people, which merge with the other inhabitants of the earth in more than one way, right? It's crypto Jews everywhere, okay? If you go by this explanation, which is within the boundaries of truth, mind you, then they have children all over the world and people who are in the same spirit of rebellion as they are. So then the earth is defiled, like it says in Isaiah 24. and it sinks never to rise again. And they're given Barabbas, so to speak. They're given the devil, who may or may not be pretending to be Christ when they do. And of course, they don't have my permission to pretend to be me. And that increases their internal punishment. So they really hate their offspring. They're going to argue that they're lukewarm or good instead of admitting that they're evil. Either way, their offspring are damned to hell, right? Everyone who keeps reproducing, people outside the divine order, what have you. So it says the earth trembles and cannot bear up a servant who becomes king, a godless fool who gets plenty to eat, right? That's the rich, right? They're godless fools who get plenty to eat. It's also guys who get attractive females, whether they're rich or not. Okay, because the bread stands for the body, okay, spiritually and otherwise, right? And the wine, the blood, the wine stands for the blood. So they're getting plenty to eat and drink, which goes back to the wine that the prostitute's drunk on in Revelation. She's joining them, yoking herself to sinners who are drunk off the blood of cheating me out of my rightful place, and those who are more deserving of the attractive women out of those attractive women. Those who think this is not a big issue, I challenge you to a debate on it. You are out of your minds if you think romantic injustice is a small issue. And you're the same people who talk about the children are the future. You do eugenics, trying to have healthy children in an unfair way, and so on and so forth, right? I'd love to hear your counter-argument. I'd love to hear it. Okay. So it goes on to say in verse 23, a contemptible woman who gets married and a servant who displaces her mistress, right? You're not supposed to settle. So if they have an evil gold digger front and center, married to a wicked guy who pretends to be good, or a wicked guy or whatever, okay, then the earth cannot bear it. The earth cannot bear a change of order, right? That's why it's a Royal African Falcon martial art order. They do the works of God. I do the works of God as the king, okay? And no one's obeying God through me, so it's just me right now, and it ends after my flesh dies no matter what because of the circumstances of the situation, right? Tech, breeding, generational ill-gotten gains, cheating, sabotage, you name it, okay? So the order switched, and they're going to hell, and they're not supposed to persecute me because it just makes it worse for them. They're not wise no matter how you slice it. They're overkilling their folly and their failure. Okay. So you see that when you go through verse 19 through 23, we're clear that it's romantic injustice, if you know, that it's talking about, and romantic justice, and so on and so forth. Verse 24. 4 things on earth are small, yet are extremely wise. Yet they are extremely wise, right? So it's telling you, what do you do about this? Ants are creatures of little strength, yet they store up their food in the summer. And even if you're a feeble emo who's scared of their own shadow, you're supposed to scramble to do the right thing. Store up riches in heaven, right? Matthew 6, and not on earth. The food they're talking about is the fruit of righteousness. The fruit, right? The bread of God's presence. Hyraxes are creatures of little power, even if you're mentally weak. Yet they make their home in crags, right? Seek refuge in God. Seek refuge in the Royal African Falcon martial art order. Obey God through me. Locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. Okay, it's saying that while Christ was gone, but I'm here now, mind you, that you're supposed to come together and obey God and accept me as your leader when I come, and I'm here now, and you didn't do that. So you're following the path of folly, not wisdom, which walks in the way of righteousness along the path of justice. And you know them by their fruit. In Isaiah, it says he seeks the cause of justice and righteousness. We're almost out of time, so let me shoot through this. A lizard can be caught with the hand, yet it is found in kings' palaces. Okay? So it goes to the right place. It's found in kings' palaces, and I'm the King of Kings. Proverbs 16:12, the throne is established in righteousness. New Living Translation, justice. Focus, righteous intensity through martial arts, right? The reason why a king wears a sword, what have you. Okay, and of course they superimpose themselves on that. The kings of this world are the beasts in Revelation, right? We're almost out of time here. So there are 3 things that are stately in the stride, 4 that move with stately bearing. A lion, mighty among beasts, who retreats before nothing. A strutting rooster. Okay, a he-goat, and a king secure against revolt. So it's basically saying, you know, the righteous king, the righteous are as bold as lion, Proverbs 28:21. Excuse me, Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee, though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion, right? When do you retreat and when don't you? Okay. 32, if you play the fool and exalt yourself, or if you plan evil, clap your hand over your mouth. 33, for as churning evil cream produces butter, and as twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife. We'll go over this again in the next video.